Hi, bank owned and foreclosed homes. What are 12 common buyer questions? Stay tuned to find out more. Hi, today I'm going to discuss with you 12 common buyer questions that come up frequently when you're dealing with bank owned and foreclosed properties. Take a look at this bank owned home. Okay, so let's get started with the 12 common buyer questions have when they're dealing with bank owned and foreclosed properties. Number one, can the buyer call the bank directly to make an offer? My pat answer is typically no. I've never heard this being possible, as most banks will want to hire a professional agent to represent them for the property and doing the proper paperwork. In addition, it will be extremely difficult to find out the exact person that works for the bank who's willing to actually accept a contract on the bank's behalf. Number two, what is the typical process and what happens when your agent submits your offer on your behalf? What normally happens is the listing agent will input all of your offer information on an online bank form. Ironically, the bank representative typically never sees your actual written offer. They only see the main terms and the main information pertaining to your offer. If they do not like your offer, they will respond back to the listing agent on this online form. This is typically related back to your agent verbally, as they will state what price they're willing to come back with and other additional terms. At that stage, you will have your agent get back to you and you will go back and forth verbally until you do come to a mutual agreement. Once a mutual agreement has been met by all parties, the bank will then issue a whole new contract, typically with their own bank paperwork and some of your state paperwork without seller signatures. You will need to then have your agent instruct you on how to properly fill out all the paperwork and send it to the bank for bank signatures. The critical part with this is sometimes once you sign all the paperwork and the bank's already mutually agreed verbally, it can take 3 to 5 days for the bank to sign the paperwork and get back to you. This is critical as your timelines may be adjusted and affected based on when the bank actually signs all the paperwork. So it's critical to look at the exact date that your bank signed the paperwork and then base all your timelines off of that exact date. Number three, can I have a home inspection performed on my behalf? My answer typically is yes, but do realize that most of these banks do sell the properties in as-is conditions, as they will not typically repair anything or provide any credits for repairs that are needed. In addition, if you're in an area where they do winterize the homes, meaning they get all the water out and they antifreeze and clear out all the pipes, make sure you understand the process and have permission. Can you unwinterize the house to have it inspected? And do you have to have it re-winterized? These are important things to find out before you have an accepted offer. In addition, if you are doing a government-backed loan, FHA, VA, or USDA, make sure you're very aware that if there's any required repairs that show up based on your property appraisal, they have to be fixed, and in 100% in most cases, the banks will not give you permission to hire somebody to fix those repairs. So the key aspect of that is if you're doing one of these type of government-backed loans and these issues show up on your home inspection report, it might be a good idea to move along and find a different property at that stage. Number four, when should you start the loan process? This should be done immediately. You should contact your lender to get all the disclosure forms and immediately order the property appraisal, particularly if you have a very fast closing date. Also, make sure you read all the fine print of the contract, as banks are sticklers for their closing date. They typically will have a per diem. It could be $50, $100, $200 per day should you not close on time based on your loan not funding in the proper timetable. Number 5, how much earnest money do I need to put down? In most cases, if you're doing a financed offer, you'll need to have at least 1% of your accepted offer price. If you're paying cash, it'll need to be about 10% of your accepted offer price. The banks will not accept promissory notes, so typically your earnest money will need to be made out to the title company or the closing company in the form of a cashier's check. Number 6, will the bank consider a contingency sale offer of my home closing? On most cases, you're going to always get the answer no. It's extremely rare, and I have hardly ever seen this done, except on one occasion. I was able to do this with a very small bank in Bend, Oregon, where we had the sale of our property already in escrow, scheduled to close in a week, and made a cash offer. Number 7, can I occupy the property before it closes escrow? The banks are extremely strict with this clause, and they will never allow anybody to ever occupy the property prior to close of escrow. In addition, they'll never let you do repairs or work on the property for various reasons prior to close of escrow. Number 8, can I choose the escrow or closing company? My pat answer typically is no, as this is typically the seller bank's choice on who they want to close escrow with. I have seen on some occasions where they do allow the buyer to choose their own closing company. However, the fees will typically be higher, as they will want you to pay for their escrow fees and title insurance fees. Number 9, do I need a pre-approval letter to submit a finance offer, or do I need to provide proof of funds with a cash offer? The answer to both these questions is definitely yes. The banks will require with finance offers that you do provide a pre-approval letter from your bank that has all of their contact information on the letter. In addition, with financed offers, on several occasions, the banks may require that you actually get pre-approved through their bank, and they will do incentives to try to encourage you to do this. By no means are you actually required to use them, but on some occasions, they will require that you actually talk to their preferred lender. For cash offers, it is critical and important that you do provide proof of funds, that you have the funds available in an account ready to close. This could be a bank statement with all your information in the banks, or it could be a direct letter from your bank with their letterhead on top. Number 10, what does as is mean? When you do get an accepted offer on your bank-owned property, you will see various clauses throughout the bank-owned contract written by the bank's attorneys that you agree to purchase the home in as-is condition. This does not mean that if you perform a home inspection and they allow this to be a contingency, that you cannot withdraw and terminate your contract should there be more issues than you want to deal with. There's typically going to be a tight timeline, and you have to notify the bank typically in about 7 to 10 days after acceptance if you do have any issues. The as-is clause will be throughout the contract, and you are buying it as is pending your approval of the home inspection. Number 11, can I write an offer on a bank-owned property the day it hits the market? The answer to this is yes and no. This will really depend on the bank. What I typically see on most bank-owned properties, in order for them to get maximum exposure, is they will require that it be on the market for at least 7 calendar days before they will look at and consider all offers. If you're looking at a HUD bank-owned property, this will require at least 7 days. If it's an investor looking to purchase the property, it's at least 30 days before they'll consider your offer. Number 12, so when do I get the keys to my new bank-owned property? This occurs when the closing company or the attorney's office receives all the necessary funds to properly record on the property under your name at the appropriate county on where the property is located at. In addition, you have to understand and be aware that in some bank clauses in their contract, they'll put a rekey fee and rekey the whole house at your buyer's expense. This is not a ton of money, but it could be a few $100s that you need to be aware of. So there you go, 12 key common questions that you may hear when dealing with bank-owned properties. For more free real estate tips, simply follow me on my Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube account. This is Ken Mucha. I'm a buyer specialist with Team Rotolo High Desert Realty here in beautiful Bend, Oregon. My direct cell is 541-948-0494. Thank you so much for watching and have an awesome day.